we're going to have a warm welcome from our Dean, Jana Childers.
Wow. Well, my pleasure to welcome folks. As Molly said that, my screen went. So can you still see me?
We can see you.
Oh, good. Well, I'd rather not see myself anyway. So hi, how lovely to know all of you are out there. I wanted to say, I heard Renee Hassel is the executive assistant to the dean, and I heard her, probably some of you did too, just as we were coming in, saying that she was going to vie for the bottom scorer on this. And I wanted to say a comment to that, and the answer to Renee's comment is, if this were a trivia quiz about how SFTS runs, what software platforms make it work, what forms have to be filled out to get anything at all accomplished, then Renee would be the #1 top scorer in the quiz tonight. But this is a fit quiz about fun things. So many different fun things that I've been told that I cannot mention all the funny stories I know for fear of giving away a clue. But I will just say, I just wanted to make the point anyway, that SFTS, whether people know it or not, has a great history with humor. So some of us go way back, of course. I go back 36 years now, and back to the days of the talent shows that we used to have in Lower Alexander Hall, which gave rise, of course, eventually to perhaps the peak of SFTS's humor and happy entertainment, fun, upbeat, popular entertainment. And that was, of course, the long career of the Bonhoeffers. I won't say any more. I believe I'm allowed to mention their name, but even just a little bit more, I might give away a clue. So I won't say anything about that. But I did want to say we have some taglines. Now, I don't know, Stephanie, are taglines going to come up in the quiz tonight?
Ooh, no mottos though.
Okay.
So if you, no mottos or taglines, so tagline
Good.
away.
All right, well then I'll just leave you with this. So we have a long history, but in our recent history with humor at SFTS, there was a time 5 or 6 years ago, so current students might not necessarily remember it, and of course all of you alums might have been gone at that point, but we were hiring a big time Chicago firm to do a new tagline and a new branding, stuff for the seminary, and they came up with what they pitched as just the greatest idea ever. We're leaning into the conference speaker, we're listening from, where they're talking from Chicago, and the voice comes through, the new tagline for SFTS, best in the West. I thought, oh no, our students can do better than that. So I put it out to people at SFTS then. I said, give us your idea for taglines. All right, here were the top 3 winners. #1, there was a big basketball contingent that year. And so they voted for a tagline, SFTS, home of the Golden State Holy Warriors. That was a good one. The one that won the student popularity contest, the one that the students were most happy about was SFTS, Hogwarts for Calvinist Muggles. But my own personal favorite, having lived at SFTS through the last big one, and having lived most of my life in earthquake country, my personal favorite was SFTS, earthquake free since 1989. So yeah, so whether people believe it about us or not, the Frozen Chosen is not the funniest or the only funny idea that we've ever had in our lives. We know other jokes besides that, and tonight we're going to explore some of the fun side of SFTS. It's delightful to have you all with us.
Thank you, Jana. We are so appreciative that you are here, and everybody else. I wanted to give a couple of shout outs to some of our staff who are on the line. Myself, I'm Molly Whitcomb. I am the Director of Development. It looks like I'm in Redlands right now, but would it surprise you to know I was in San Anselmo this morning? I pulled through with a trailer. I'm just ending a camping trip that we did all the way up the coast. We went out to Point Reyes, windiest place on earth, yesterday. I stayed a night in San Anselmo, and I'm now just a couple hours away at my mother-in-law's home, which is why my husband just brought me some snacks because she's gonna wine and dine us tonight. But I want to take a minute and have Liz Huntington introduce herself.
Well, hi, everyone. So I'm your marketing and communications manager, and that's kind of around the website and the brochures and chimes, the old chimes. And now I'm working specifically with enrollment. And I always love hearing the stories. And the biggest thing about prospective students is they love hearing about the impacts that you have all made in the world. And so especially around our SFTS 150, I really invite you to reach out to me if you have a story or somebody else's story that you want me to share, because that's really what motivates people and connects us all. So I'm Liz_Huntington at redlands.edu. I hope you guys reach out. It's good to see you all.
Great, thank you. And Stephanie, can you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Why, thank you, Molly. I'm over here in San Rafael. I'm not actually at the library today, but I was there earlier. I am the branch librarian. I've been here since 2015, and time flies when you're having fun up on the hill. I'll be somewhat moderating along with alumnus Ashley Pogue and with Bear Ride, who will be providing the fun while I provide you with the historical background for some of our categories today.
Great, thanks so much. And Chandra, you're right there in Montgomery Hall, I can tell.
I am. I'm on the third floor of a Montgomery Hall, and I work for the provost, as well as helping Molly and helping Stephanie LaMonica with housing and all sorts of different things. I wear many hats on this campus, and I love being here. And it's a beautiful day in San Anselmo. We wish you were here. I am going to be not participating, but I'm going to be watching the chat and make sure you don't all get too crazy.
Chandra keeps us all in line. And Renee, do you want to pop in and say hello? I know Dean Childers gave you a shout out earlier.
Hi, I'm Renee. I work with Jana and Chandra and keep the place running tip top. Happy to be here. I entirely expect to come in last place because I know zero history. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come, because I'm like, the trivia is going to be really cool and I need to know this and I want to know this. So I haven't been able to work on this team, and I thought, well, I'll come and just show my stupidity on the trivia piece and go from there. So excited to see all your faces and meet you. And if you ever need anything out of the dean's office, I'm your girl.
Excellent, thank you. Well, we're going to get started here, and this is probably going to be the toughest part of the quiz, which is to get ready to play. And this is a platform that we have found, and it's called Kahoot. So Stephanie has now put it up on the screen, but what I need each of you to do is to put kahoot.it into another browser. So a phone, a tablet, Sanskrit, something, and then you'll see the game pin. You'll be prompted. Once you go to kahoot.it, you'll see that you need to enter a game pin, and it's displayed there, 2370710. We're going to give you a minute or so to do that. Bear and Ashley, while people are getting that ready, do you want to do any sort of prep or introductions? I'll turn it over to both of you. And Bear, you are muted. That won't be the first time that happens.
You see, you get to a certain age and, the technology gets to the best of us. It's so good to see a wide variety of people here. I'll be curious, and I guess we can't do it with this screen share going on, but what decades anyway we come from, and maybe there would be maybe during halftime we can do that, and I think it's possible then, seeing some of my co-madres here and padres, that I won't be the oldest one, but I'm MDiv class of 78 and DMin 91. Excuse me. And I welcome you, and I'm going to toss you down to Ashley, who is of a slightly newer vintage.
Yeah, thank you, Bear. So I graduated in 2019, so fairly recently, just 2 years ago, right before the pandemic and all sorts of fun things have happened. I also work on staff here at the seminary. I'm the events manager, and I'm also spending some of my time with Liz in marketing right now for a couple of months. So like she was saying, if you have any stories or you want to brag on other people, please let us know. You can reach us through Facebook or Instagram or whatever the kids are doing. That's pretty much it for us. We're not TikTokers or what have you. But yeah, we'd love to hear more from you, and we're excited about tonight. This should be really fun. I'm also wearing Hogwarts gear in honor of the castles that we have here. So I'm wearing my Gryffindor scarf. It's a bit warm, so we'll see how long it lasts. But needed some flair. Needed some flair for tonight.
Fabulous.
That sounds great. And I did see Terry's question in the chat. We'll take kind of an intermission and we will definitely do some introductions. There might be some people who are joining us a little bit later. And then if anybody is having trouble joining, I know some people are couples and might be on one device, which is fine. But put it in the chat and Chandra and I will try to help you out if you need to do that. Does anybody want to, at least at this point, say they're having trouble? I don't want to call you out, but we're happy to help you if that's the case. Otherwise, we'll get ready to go.
This is pretty amazing.
And I say that if you're a couple, you have to reach consensus. Yeah, you reach no arm wrestling or that sort of thing. And it should also be added, which I found out when we were doing our dry run, that time matters. So you get more points if you answer more quickly. So none of this playing the, Jeopardy theme song in your head. Just do it.
Exactly. Bear, that's a great reminder. Most of these questions have a time limit of about a minute or less. There's some fun ones that will be not for points, but for fun, that will be a little bit longer throughout our game. So please, as soon as we hit start, be ready to go. There will be a mix of quiz questions, which are multiple choice. There will be a true and false question, and it'll tell you when it's the true and false. And then there's something that they call type, which is a short response. So just to get you ready, our first question, our first category actually, is going to be in honor of March, which is Women's History Month. So we've narrowed it down to some interesting things from religious history. So get your mind set for women's religious history. And let's get ready to play.
The tension is building.
Yeah. So here we are. Multiple choice. Which is not a feminist theology? You'll see the time over on the left side of your screen.
And just since this is our first one, you're going to use your device that you've opened Kahoot on to make your answers.
Yeah. Wonderful. And seeing the answers rolling in. Perfect. I think everybody's gotten a chance to respond.
Ooh, we're flying through.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't mess around with SFTS grads.
That's true. We really know. We know our theology.
Yep.
Or do we? I guess we'll find out in 11 seconds.
Tick, tick, tick. Oh. All right. So it was actually Madonna Theology. I know it sounds good, express yourself theology, but it's actually not a real one. And girlfriend theology is actually a real thing. When I was researching this and I came across that this cannot be real, but it is in the Dictionary of Feminist Theologies, and it was originated by Dory Baker. She encourages the women she works with to tell their own stories, and that in that way they can find God through storytelling. It's a really cool method and framework to work from. All right, so let's see who's on top of the board starting out. Wonderful. Bear, I thought we said we weren't gonna play.
Oh, I got caught. Okay, no more playing for me.
Oh, Bear always plays. Let's
Yeah.
not play games
Oh,
here.
thank you, Chuck.
You should have put your name as Herman Watson or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So our next one is going to be a type and answer, so get your typing fingers ready.
Tell you, my palms are sweating and I'm not even playing anymore.
I mean, to be fair, you've only seen the first few.
All right. So who defined womanism and said the following about it? Womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender.
I'm really happy to say that as a current or former student, very recently, this is pounded into you.
I am not seeing where we're supposed to type our answers. Did we type it in
Okay,
the
so
chat?
Terry, you're going to type your answer on your device. So you should have opened up on a different browser, a phone or a tablet, kahoot.it.
Oh, so it's
you
in,
s-
oh, I see. I got it. Okay, sorry
Okay.
about that. Thank you.
So yeah, that's why we're warming up. We're doing it slowly.
All right. Look at all these wonderful responses. But it's Alice Walker, and we have one lucky person who got this one right. Let's see who got it. I bet you it was Jana.
Of course. Of course. Mary Lynn.
Kind of forgot we have a ringer here.
Oh, I didn't do it. Did I do it? No, I didn't do it. This must be left over from last time. I kept my hands off.
That's not me, Bear. That's somebody else. My whole name is there. I could be ML, but I'm not today.
So who is
I'm
that?
ML, and I got the first one.
There you are. Look at.
Oh, there we go.
That's just left over from the first one. I guessed Katie Cannon, so I didn't get this one
Thanks for staying awake, Mary Louise.
right. Hey, you know, it's only, what, almost 8 o'clock. We're not that bad.
Oh, okay. Hey, thanks for staying awake. Yeah.
All right. So this one, if you thought this one was tough, I'll be surprised to see who can get this next one. This is straight from Dr. Farley, who loves her mystics, and she found a Presbyterian mystic. This grandmother of Aaron Burr was also a Presbyterian mystic. Name this Presbyterian mystic. I guess they must have left out the Presbyterian song out of Hamilton. Maybe it'll make it in an extended cut.
Ah. Would they be super frozen and not moving or clapping?
Yeah, they ascend, spontaneously.
Oh, I
I
like
think
it.
Presbyterian mystic might be an oxymoron.
That's what I was thinking.
Mrs. Burr.
Hey, stop stealing my answers. I'd like to go rogue here and propose that we all unmute so that we can talk about some of these things as
Oh,
we're.
yeah.
Good idea.
Give a
You
hint.
are
and-
welcome to unmute.
Okay, I want credit for my last answer then because I put Scott Clark with the purple.
Nice.
I think I saw Mike Googling.
Sarah
Who got
Edwards.
that?
Sarah Edwards. Who got
Who got
that?
You just got called out for
Who
Googling.
got that?
Might have been Renee jumping up in our standings here.
Wow.
Woot, woot.
Ooh.
Impressive.
Renee, are you Googling?
Was that a no rule? I can't do that?
Yeah, I was wondering is there a rule?
Yes.
And no looking at Bob Coote's book either.
That's no fun.
I see you,
Needs to be
Polly. I
open
see what you're doing.
book.
That's not fair. That's
book.
real history.
Yeah, sorry, we forgot to mention no Googling or no pulling out your school notes or anything.
I would like to disagree with that rule.
Oh,
You don't need to know everything. You need to know where to find it.
Ooh, as a
That is
librarian,
true.
I approve of this commentary. Yep.
We put a phone in our hands. What are we gonna do?
Somebody better have me mute now.
All right. So
Okay, that's the last one I'm getting right then.
that's part of the fun.
Well, next up we've got a multiple choice. So you got a 1 in 4 shot. So there was one suffragist that got up in arms about the patriarchy's consistent use of scripture to keep women down. Which suffragist wrote a book to refute their use of the gospel and use of the Bible?
What do you think? Elizabeth Cady Stanton. What do you think?
Ooh, some
We
interesting
probably
guesses
should mute
here.
while we're thinking. That grinding noise just isn't good.
Intriguing set of possibilities.
Okay.
Can't be Susan B. Anthony. She's on the dollar coin that didn't work.
All right, it's time to finish up your guessing for this one as the time wraps down.
Hey, what do you mean guessing?
Yeah.
Ooh, how many folks? Oh, we got 4 choices for Stanton. Nice work. Unfortunately, she was a bit of a racist, so it's not really great to uphold her nowadays. She was an example, a prime example of the feminist not to follow, unlike Alice Walker, who we celebrated a bit.
Wasn't she married to a minister?
She has a Scottish Presbyterian background. In fact, she wasn't very happy about it. Bear, could you tell the story that you told earlier today?
She was in a sewing circle in her local Presbyterian church, and the women sewed a pulpit robe for their new pastor, who was, fresh out of seminary. And his first sermon, wearing the robe, was why women should keep silence in the church. And she was out of there. She was out.
Oh, so now we're getting into
Obviously a Princeton grad.
Hot shots at other seminaries are encouraged throughout.
Well played, sir.
So this is our one and only true false question coming up. So get ready for true or false as we take a look at our standings here. Oh my goodness, look who's just taken control of the leaderboard.
That's why she's paid to be a professor.
Apologies, I think my computer is running a little bit slow, so.
But
Well,
hey,
that would
there's a trivia or a true false. So Renee, you've got a really high chance of getting this right.
Exactly.
Glad you got the faith in me, Ashley. Thanks.
Absolutely.
This one. What do you think?
Does this sound like Julian of Norwich to you? Terry, we're not going to rescind your doctorate. Stop talking about that. How many presentations have you done in the past couple of months? I've seen your name on so many things.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be on the teacher at GT.
I miss it.
You missed
These are hard questions.
Some of them get easier, but I make no promises when we get into the biblical studies category.
Well,
Ashley threw together some questions and I went, I've been working here for 6 years. years and I don't know this? Shame on me.
The first one is I believe in all of us to be able to get that. Also, there's a reason why we chose to have this at 5:30, aka cocktail hour.
Well, who did say it if Julian of Norwich did not say that?
Well, this was another Dr. Farley provided question, and she is such a fan of The Mirror of Simple Souls, and this is a quote from that book, and it was written by Marguerite de Porret, and unfortunately she was killed for saying such things as a soul annihilated by the love of the Creator. So.
Of course she was.
And then it wasn't even discovered that she wrote this book until the mid 1900s. So the Benedictines, I believe, were claiming it and publishing it, and then finally someone discovered, hey, this has to be this woman we burned at the stake. Or I don't know exactly how she was executed, but it's interesting that it took that long. All right, so we get a little bit more Presbyterian up in here.
Thank God.
When did they finally approve the ordination of women?
I know that.
And we're going to clarify that this is to the ministry, not because of 3 different years.
Oh,
But we're only talking about
1975.
Yeah.
Elders were first, yeah.
No, deacons were first.
What is it?
Correct. Deacons, elders, and
deaconesses.
Oh, I have a story about that from New Testament Greek.
1909.
Well, what is it?
Oh, we were doing New Testament Greek in the preschool or in the pre-class, pre-season, and Episcopalian priest was teaching, and we were translating. I think it's Timothy, and it says deaconess, and this Baptist guy and the guy, he said that means the wife of a deacon, doesn't it? And the professor said, no, it's feminine. That is a deaconess. He got up and left the room and never came back.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And another fun fact on deaconess, I think it's in Timothy as well, it's the same word as deacon, but they just assumed they saw a name that was could have gone either way, and it looked a little bit more like a feminine name. So they figured that it couldn't be the same office. There needed to be a different office, one specifically for women. So let's just call it deaconess.
Wow.
Okay, I have to sing my own praises on this one because I got it right just because of Gianna's stories in The Office. I totally got it from her story and a guess, and I'm one of the 6. Woohoo! I didn't cheat. Thank you, Gianna.
So there is osmosis.
I know.
Look, everyone's getting on the board. Nice work.
You got it right.
So you can truly find Presbyterians everywhere. They even get their fingers into legal matters. So for this next multiple choice question, what activist and author's legal defense were Presbyterians a part of?
What?
So Presbyterians got involved when an activist was facing some legal trouble.
Oh,
and who is the activist? And you want to give points out willy-nilly, so give folks a chance to make their guess here.
Is the Presbyterian the white guy?
They weren't actually at the table, as far as I know.
It was a joke. that was a joke. Too soon? Okay.
I'd better get this one right. I was in seminary when it happened.
Yeah, and I think it might better be said help raise the defense fund rather than actually,
correct.
Defending. Okay.
I'm curious because it sounds like folks were around during this era. What was the atmosphere on campus like when all of the furor happened over at the courthouse? And suddenly various Presbyterians were asking, hey, can we get some money together?
It was Catawba Presbytery that that actually refunded the money to the Love and Justice offering. But it was the church, help me, Bear, the church down in Sausalito
I thought it
that
was,
asked Love and Justice to put up the money.
well, yeah, and it was the black clergy who actually ended up raising the money to reimburse, because it came out of, yes, I don't remember the name of the, Comar. Comar? No.
Yeah, it came out of Comar,
Comar.
and then when there was the stink in 70, what was that, 72,
Yeah.
I think?
It was huge.
That's right.
Catawba Presbytery raised the money to reimburse the Love and Justice offering.
Yeah. So the money never actually came out of any Presbyterian's pocket. But boy, people left the church in hordes.
Yeah.
I dealt with that up until I retired. People, well, Angela Davis, and I had to go through and explain the whole process. They
Yeah.
usually came around once they knew what the real reason was.
Mhm.
At my first church, this would have been 2002, there was an apocryphal story that this little tiny church in Western Pennsylvania was so mad when the denomination supported Angela Davis with their money that they took theirs out and bought the only air conditioner in a church in this little town. When I got there, I was so happy there was air conditioning, and then I found out why. And it's just so good.
Wow.
Those are my people, Western Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Mango Presbyterian.
Where Presbyterians are the densest.
Yes.
That's a Vic Jameson quote.
Yeah, you heard that a lot.
So we're nearing the end of our category, and man, I really appreciate, I hope we can keep the storytelling going throughout, especially as we get further into the SFTS history category. But to round off this category, this is just a fun question, no points attached. We're wondering, after we take a look at the scoreboard, keep forgetting that it displays. Look at all these scores ramping up. We're going to get into the tens of thousands. But this next fun question is just a free response. We're curious, in the next 50 years, what new subject is going to be taught at the Graduate School of Theology?
Oh, so this is a vision quest, huh?
Yeah, we're going to see what this collective group, this brain trust, has can look into the crystal ball and see what's going to be taught here. Will we have a robotic Jana teaching preaching down there in Montgomery Chapel? What's going to happen? And this is best with a short response. I had a wiseacre during the test run say underwater basket weaving. None of that multisyllabic nonsense here.
What are you saying?
And this one we can cheat on and tell each other. I'd like to see like a theological coding language. We can program in almost scripture. I think that would be cool, like apps that have, as the basis of their language and their code, some sort of theology or religious.
What would you like to put in?
You totally stole my answer. That was my answer.
I have no idea what you were talking about, but I bet it's going to happen in 10 years or 5 years.
Yeah. Computer.
Or maybe learn how to create these non-fungible tokens. Make the seminary some real money.
I'm gonna say that.
So let's see here. They're all trickling in here. We'll see everyone's response up here shortly.
Marketing.
Gin and theology.
Who put that in?
I said that for Liz.
Oh, thank you.
Jen and theology.
Jen and theology.
This is great. I love it.
Sermons as NFTs. Yeah, nice. Gin and theology.
So we've got plenty of questions still to go. I'm wondering if it's time, Molly, for an intermission.
I think so. Let's go ahead and do our introductions. And of course, everybody's kind of seeing a different view. maybe Bear and Ashley, do you want to start it off on and call on people that you see? So maybe class year, something
Ooh,
you
yeah.
love about San Anselmo and SFTS.
Yeah. Is there anyone before 1970? Okay. How about during the decade of the 70s? Seriously? Chuck, is that right?
Yeah, I was 73.
Well, you're way before me. I was 78. So yeah, you know, this white hair doesn't just grow on trees, right?
No, and
Okay,
I
that-
was prematurely gray, so you know it's been white for a long time.
How about what comes after 70s? 80s. All right.
Was this the era, Mary
Sure,
Lynn,
ma'am.
where folks basically took over the library, and I heard there was quite a mess up there in the stacks? You were a rambunctious group, I hear.
Ooh, a
Well,
mess in the
there-
stacks?
There was some rambunctiousness going on, but I don't remember that particular one.
Don't worry, I'm not coming after you.
That actually sounds more like the 70s.
Yeah, we took over. We took over the seminary.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, we did, and we
invaded the trustees meeting and told them all to, you know, step up or get out.
Yeah.
was
We
rambunctious.
boycotted Christology that was taught by the president and the dean, Arnold Cum and Surjit Singh, because all of the books were written by, you know, well, you can guess, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we called Arnold Cum Arnold B. Erkamai.
Say that again.
Arnold B. Erkamai.
Beer.
Cum in Greek.
Oh, Cum. Oh, jeez. Yeah, the
It's not common anymore.
the Christology class was called Come Sing. Come, because Arnold Cum.
Oh,
I remember that. Thank you.
that's
anytime.
clever.
Anytime. Okay, how about the 90s?
Those
All
of
we
us in
did
the-
was irreverent imitations of our professors in Communifest and used humor to keep them in line.
Yeah.
Unifest.
Yeah, a bunch of us wrote the Exegesis Blues. And so,
We played softball.
yeah, that
Lots of softball.
Mary Lynn, I was just going through some pictures and I've got a picture of you swinging the bat. So
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's a great one to share.
You know, but the
Okay.
thing about it was finding out how well Bob Coot hit a softball.
And
Yeah. I think it was the late 80s when Art Mills led a group of students singing up the fire escape and through the window into my second floor Scott classroom.
wow.
They had put the voice and diction exercises to music. And they trooped into my speech class singing, you know, for what they remembered of "Awake, Sir King, the gates unspar, rise up and ride, both fast and far."
That is commitment. That is education.
That was Art Mills.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
My-
Did we get up to the 90s?
Oh,
Did we do the
90s.
90s?
Alicia,
Jose.
okay.
Am I the only 90? Oh boy. Yeah, 95.
How
And I
was it
came-
back then? Way back then. How was it, Jose?
Well, I came there after having retired from the corporate world. So I was old when I came there. I turned 50 and I actually spent most of my time at Berkeley with all of the other seminaries, but it was good. It was good time for me, and live on campus with family for a while. But overall, it was a good experience.
Excellent. How many of us ever lived in Hunter Hall? About Ad Landon. Ann Landon.
Well, I lived there for about 3 weeks.
That's about enough, right?
That was enough.
Yeah, but who
Small-
has lived in Oxtaby? Come on now.
Oh.
boy.
Managed docs to be.
There you go. I
Oh,
want to
nice.
say that I am going on 5 years in Oxtaby.
Ooh.
I loved
my.
Oxtaby.
That's
Maybe
commitment.
your record.
I'm in it right now.
I love docs to be.
Excellent. I will love not having cinder blocks for walls sometime in the future.
Well, there is that.
Not the warmest room.
Okay, how about the aughts, 0 to 10? All right. And how was it back then? Who was the president there then? Oh, you're muted.
Well,
Anybody?
my namesake, right? Sort of, not really.
Yeah, we were
John McCullough.
we were McCullough to
Oh yeah, what's his name? Right.
nice man after him.
Yeah, the Scottish name.
Oh yeah, Dr.
Yeah. And then we were leaving as Phil Butan came in. So they were really, leadership turbulent times, but
In transition.
yeah. But it was fun at first because there were so many people that weren't students living around the campus, and we got to be friends with a whole bunch of other really interesting people.
Yeah.
They were just, there.
Yeah, they were like squatters.
Oh dear.
But like one of them was a gardener, and one of them worked at a elderly care home. He was my next door neighbor, but they had done some max work or something like that, and then just stayed because of
They were paying rent.
yeah,
you
they
know?
were paying rent. Anyway, it sounds awful, but it was really actually great.
That just reminded me that when I was there, the Scott Hall was being rented by the Ali Akbar School of Music.
Oh,
you're kidding.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we never got into Scott Hall.
I remember that school of music. They were based in Seattle, and not Seattle. What do you call it? Oh, for goodness sakes, Sausalito.
Well, okay, great.
Yeah, that I knew people who went to that school back in the day.
So was this the outfit that brought the Sufi dancers that came up and did a whole dance out? I think it was up on the terrace and in Scott Hall.
Not in the 70s, but
okay, may have been in the 60s.
Yeah. Different tradition. The Ali Akbar school was Indian and Sufis were Muslim.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I have
Okay,
something
10 to 20. Oh, like last year. Oh, look at you.
All right. Woohoo.
Oh. Well, we'll all have to get together for a beverage sometime once this all lifts.
Maybe November when we have our alumni
yeah.
weekend.
This is just a warm up for November.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we might need a word from our sponsor about what's happening in November. Who is our sponsor?
That would be Molly.
Stephanie's got
I would still
control.
like to hear from everybody. I'd like to hear some introductions, like everybody, like what you're doing now and all of that. Can we do that or not?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's
Yeah.
hear introductions and where everybody is. Could we take the intermission slide down so we can see each other?
Oh, there's an idea.
So Bear, do you want to call on people, Bear, as you see folks who haven't actually gotten to introduce themselves?
Let's have Ashley do it because I feel as though I've been just
taking over, huh?
Again.
I know, right?
Spirit of the 60s.
Excellent. Brooke Scott, what have you been up to?
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you, Ashley. I
You
love
too.
your scarf. I am actually I'm in Marin, so I'm in San Rafael, graduated in 2018. And I am a pastoral associate at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Tiburon right now as I seek my first call. So I'm teaching Bible study and preaching, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm like back in the books. It's kind of fun.
That's wonderful. Excellent. The Grews.
It's actually Gruey.
Gruey.
And let's see, we graduated in 87. We were married in Stewart Chapel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it's lasted all these years. We're coming up on what, 35, I guess. And there was something I was going to say.
We met Ashley at an event in Portland several years ago.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun getting to do an alumni event up there.
Yeah, it was.
It's nice to see you.
Our first call was to a rural church in Indiana. And boy, that blew your mind. And then after 5 years, we came to the church here in Portland that we love and is much more urban, not downtown, but urban residential. And we love the church and the people, and I'm retired now and out of the books. And Chris is he is the solo pastor at our church. And what else?
Which church is it? Where are you?
It's called Savage Memorial. And it's in Southeast Portland.
Named after the family. We don't have any more savages in the church, so
Yeah.
that's kind of our tagline. No savages since 1952.
There you go.
But I just started actually on the board as a newcomer of the Manuka Camp and Conference Center up on the beautiful Columbia Gorge. So if you ever get an opportunity, it's a great place when we're allowed to get together again.
Yeah.
Manuka is a wonderful place.
Yes. And we have a daughter together who's 30, which tells you how old we are. And we love SFTS and we love Jana Childers. And we love you too, Mary Lynn. Hi, Mary Lynn.
Thank you.
Mary Lynn's the only person on the board here that we were a student with. And we got to be in the seminary singers also with Mary Lynn. And sometimes we would stand out on that terrace outside where Will's office was and sing so that everybody in Montgomery Hall could hear us.
Yeah, up above the.
Yes.
Yeah, the terrace up above.
No, the terrace up above the terrace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a great time and lots of rollicking fun at the seminary.
Yes, we did.
Excellent. Jose.
Oh, boy. Let's see. My first call was as an interim associate executive of the Presbyterian of San Jose. And then that was followed for an unintended interim at Minot High School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And after that, 11 years with the Presbytery of Grand Canyon. And I have been retired for the second time for the last 10, 11 years. I'm spending time now as facilitator for Healing of Memories, a program to deal with veterans that are dealing with PTSD and moral injury. And I'm also a facilitator for a program of building spiritual strength with the Franciscan Renewal Center, which is a Roman Catholic center.
Excellent, thank you.
Great.
The Steebies?
Steebies.
Dang,
Yeah, Stevie, Bob Stevie.
I really shouldn't be in charge here.
Put the youngest one in charge. Yeah. No, I MDiv in 83 and had so much fun. I went back for the D-Min in 15. So, but Mary Lynn and I we were in class together, and but I was of the last sort of class of the quarter system. So there were a bunch of folks in our class who extended over to 4 years or more and ended up in semesters their final year or so. But anyway, we went to Phoenix for 6 years as an associate position with a big church and a big youth ministry project, and then went to a small town in southern Idaho, Jerome, Idaho, for 13 years. Went back to Southern California, which is more closer to where I'm from in Thousand Oaks, but we were in Diamond Bar and spent 14 years there. And now we've been here in Hillsboro for 5 years, and we got one more. So, and that'll take care of things. But Lisa worked on campus too. She was just assistant manager of the bookstore for a year, delivered mail, did copies, did all kinds of things. So worked the kitchen, we both did. So anyway, it was good times. I miss it. I loved being able to get to campus to work on the D-Min. And so that was a couple of times a year for a whole week, and bumping into Jana and others, and even Herman Waitchen, who's still, darking the doors of the library constantly. So is he still running around the library, Stephanie?
He still comes in occasionally. Haven't heard from him during the pandemic at all. Has anyone heard from him in the past year?
Jana?
Yeah, I see him in church every Sunday. He's fine.
Cool.
He just keeps going.
But yeah, he's gonna haunt the grounds here.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn, what are you up to these days?
So Dave and I both retired, and we moved to, we were in Davis, California most recently. We were in Atlanta before that. We came up where our son is and his wife and their little boy, which was the big draw. And so we decided to move to Fort Collins, Colorado, where they are. And it was a really good thing to do. The only trouble is we were had only been moved in for a few months before the pandemic hit. So we don't know very many people. We've only gone to church a few times with people there. So anyway, but it's been really good. And Bob Stevie helped me get through Old Testament my first year. I remember coming into their apartment and crying because I lost God somewhere it wasn't Bob Coote, it was Marv Cheney's Old Testament class. Found her later.
Excellent. Alicia, what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm up here in God's country, just from SFTS, come straight north on 101 for 7 hours, and you will arrive in Redwood country, right on the coast. I can look out my back window here. I'm full of woods. It's just wonderful. It's very relaxing. However, you don't want to live here if you don't like fog and rain and fog and rain and fog and rain. I came up here, my husband and I had lived in Seattle, so we knew this climate. I accepted a call to serve 2 little churches up here, Bayside and Blue Lake, which I did for a number of years. And then I transferred into being a hospice chaplain. That was just really wonderful ministry for me. And you know what happens, when everybody's looking at the bottom line, last hired, first let go. So that's how I've been for a little while. I do have a little bit of trivia question. Jana, I bet you know the answer to this, maybe some others too. I was a commuter student from San Jose, and anyhow, what faculty member, I graduated in 98, which faculty member would I discuss a moonrise to? Oh, no, I'm sorry, a moon set to. Somebody's got to unmute so we can hear the answer.
And remind us of the years you were at SFTS where this professor was talking about a moon set.
I graduated in 98. So the 4 years before that. So started 94? Because I did a year internship.
Is that, it wouldn't be Carol Robb, would it?
Nope. Nope.
It's a good trivia question.
Herman.
Moon set. Think about the time that might be during a 24-hour period.
I think you
Depends
might have
upon the
stumped
season.
us.
I'm seeing all these kind of blank faces going, huh? What, Lisa? What is wrong with you? Okay, shall I tell?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The faculty member who ran every morning and played excellent violin and was harder than hell for Old Testament, Bob Coot. He and I would discuss moon sets because I'd be coming up 280 and could see those moon sets, and he'd be out running. The difficult issue was we had what was the tall building you guys we were down on the floor 100
Geneva?
I can't remember. Anyway, we were down there and I'd be antsy like this, waiting for him to show up, and I'd say hi, drop my books and run, and you know where I went, and then we come back and we have a really wonderful conversation. Anyway, harder than that, and I keep in touch with him, so that's really a wonderful blessing.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Mary Louise and Mike, what are you up to these days?
We're Mary Louise and Mike, and we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We met and married at SFTS, and we were Montgomery and reception in Lower Alexander, and we took our first calls. We graduated in 2002, took our first calls in Southwest Pennsylvania, 4 churches between us, and then a few years later moved to Pittsburgh, and now we're in Nashville. Mary Louise is the pastor at Second Presbyterian, and I just finished up a designated pastor at the Downtown Presbyterian Church, and am back in the hunt, doing pulpit supply in little country churches.
Excellent. That's wonderful.
We have 2 grandchildren
Oh, that one.
who weren't here as 2 years ago. So life has, and they're both nearby. So it's been a wonderful addition.
Excellent. Perfect. All right, Chuck, what are you up to?
I'm into all sorts of trouble. What else is new? Bear, don't do that. My first parish after graduating was on an Indian reservation in northern Nevada with a name like Proudfoot, why not? And done all my work on rural and small church ministry. I really tried the big church on staff for 3 years, and I said, that's it, I'm done. And I have never served a church with more than 120 members in 5 different locations. And I've also stayed pretty up to date in terms of Native American ministry. Grand Canyon Presbytery seems to have several of those. And I'm currently president of the Ganado Presbyterian Mission Foundation, which is trying to repurpose the Ganado mission into its next 100 years of existence. We have a really good hospital group that's come in, and they're willing to try and redevelop the whole property. So we're working on a lease, $2 or $3 million to bridge that and continue to do Native American ministry on the reservation. So I'm doing a lot of that. I'm doing a lot of community development, community organization work. And when I was in seminary, I was the person who started the Lloyd Center video program, and that was a mess. I got to drive to San Jose a lot, taking Ampex recorders down that never worked, and spent a lot of time. I really got to know Bear fairly well through doing GA work in the newsroom, which I've done until they quit doing the paper, and now I'm a has-been. So I'm also playing trains. Lots of trains.
Well, thank you for that. Kieran, what are you doing these days?
Hi, it's been so delightful to hear everybody's ministerial careers and evolution. It's just been wonderful. I actually graduated with my D-Min in 2008. I was put it in 2008. I'm very much involved with my disabled husband until he died in 2016. I am ordained again with the Church for the Fellowship of All Peoples, which I was really drawn to because of its diversity. It was started by Howard Thurman, who is its spiritual father still, whether mystically or whatever. I was very entranced by the comment over here of somebody having lost God, but found him again, you know, him or her or they. And, but I just, the idea of a church that is diverse, it's a relatively small church, but I play piano a lot. I play a lot of spirituals there, and I'm associate minister. I do meditations and stuff. But right now, during these COVID times, not much has been happening. We have a Zoom every other week and some other classes going on, but it's very minimal. I think it'll get started again. But I do lots of poetry. I'm on my 5th book of poetry. So that is intrigued me, all of like the moon set. I thought, wow, that's a poem. Losing God, that's a poem. I listen to life, whether it's in nature or whether it's people just saying really interesting things. And that sparks to me kind of a new epiphany, a new idea about how to view life. So I'm out there trying to view life from lots of different perspectives and understand people and nature better every day, and lots of birds.
Let me interrupt real quick. Have you a member of the Presbyterian Writers Guild?
No, I am not.
You need,
and you know, I don't
you
have
need to
a
do
lot.
that.
Okay. I will look into that.
Either contact, well, I don't know. I think it's the website's Presbyterian Writers Guild, and look them up. It's cheap, and they're a bunch of neat people, and poetry is a biggie.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck. I'm really interested in your career because I've gotten I've gotten so many friends who are involved with the Indigenous peoples and been so concerned with their how difficult it's been for them during COVID, and wanted to see how you have responded to that, because I think they're one of really, really important part of our society, and we need to pay attention to our Indigenous peoples.
You want me to answer that real quick?
I'd love to have you answer that. Yes, if that's okay.
We have obviously, Grand Canyon Presbytery has the whole Navajo Nation, and they were hit hard early, courtesy of getting some GA money from the sale of Ghost Ranch. As a matter of fact, we and Jose, you may know more about this than I do at this moment, but the Synod put together food drives, and we sent a tractor trailer load of food every month from March through December to our congregations on the reservation who distributed it. They went through lockdowns that were all weekend, no movement whatsoever. Remember, a lot of these people have to haul water, for example, because there's not a water system for the home. And it's been a tough slog, but Navajo Nation reported no new COVID cases for the last week. So we're on the far side of that.
Where exactly are you? When you say Ghost Ranch, immediately I think of Georgia O'Keeffe in the Southwest, but where exactly are you?
I'm in central Arizona, not far from Sedona. But
beautiful. I know that.
Okay.
And I'm going to pivot real quick to Terry, who is going to bring us home with her check-in.
Hi, everybody. I graduated very recently in 2019 at age 66 with a D-Min, and I am I fall on my knees in gratitude every day because I now teach at SFTS/Redlands. In their continuing education department, I teach spirituality and bereavement and spirituality and chronic illness. And I teach at GTU in the chaplaincy department, 2 classes there. So my mind is totally blown that I got these teaching positions because it was my dream. It was the whole reason I wanted to get a doctorate, and I'm just so thrilled. And I also am a hospice chaplain here in Portland. So everything I came to SFTS to do came true. So I'm just kind of blissed out that way. I'm 68 now. I'm single. I live alone with my dog. And, you know, this work and teaching and chaplaincy is kind of my whole life. And I can't imagine having it any other way. So I am just in a state of total gratitude. I moved to Oregon. I miss the SFTS campus because it was Hogwarts. It was the most beautiful place in the world. And when I was there I lived in Sebastopol, California, and I used to drive down at 4:00 in the morning and go hang out in the student lounge there in that beautiful space, waiting for my classes to start at 9 a.m. just to beat the traffic. And so while I was hanging out in that room, I met all kinds of students and made friends with people. And, you know, sometimes I would take naps or I would do yoga or I'd watch the news. I would just hang out. And I'm just so grateful for everything. You okay, Ashley? Was that you?
Yeah, it's my dog. And sometimes when people walk by, she has to let me know that people are walking by.
And I used to bring my dog to school with me. And
Yeah.
they would let, all my professors were so lovely, they would let me bring her to class. And so everybody knew her. We've got pictures from all the different classes of her sitting there, except for the one time when I fed her some apples in the morning. I think it was the trauma class with Scott Sullender, and my dog farted through the whole class. And so I had to put her outside in the hallway.
So funny. So we are going to divert a little bit. We're going to skip
It was
over.
a gas.
It was a gas. Great, lovely memories. And thank you, Stephanie, for all the help you've given me over these
Oh
years.
my goodness, Terry, I was just thinking, you know, we were talking about Herman haunting the library. You have been one of the greatest scholars I've seen.
Oh, stop.
Go
Are you
through the
serious?
I'm serious. I mean, I judge it by how much communications I get from some students. And I go, I bet they're top of their class, or I bet I'm going to see them teach someday. And the only sad thing is you remember all those trials through your thesis, and you were going, where is this psychology journal? And then after you graduate, that's when we join Redlands and we have access
That's
to all this.
exactly right, because my dissertation was on, you know, was a psychology of religion kind of thing, and we had no psychology journals. Thank you for
way too
remembering
spending.
that, Stephanie. Thank you. I'm so glad to see you and stay connected with you.
Yeah.
As a transition now back into the serious business, we have one question. Oh wait, don't do that yet.
Don't do that. Okay.
Don't do that yet. There was one question that I actually came up with like at 3:00 in the morning, and I thought it just has to be asked. So you all can listen to it and then respond, okay? But this is not on the cahoots thing. No cahoots here, okay? Scholars tell us that there was a mystery author who actually wrote and edited parts of the gospel, but he left no name behind. We know this person to be, because we went to SFTS, we know this person to be 1, Herman Waitchen, 2, Peter, Paul, and Mary, 3, QAnon, 4, Q.
Q. Of course.
Gotta be 1.
Herman. Herman.
Excellent. So we are going to jump straight to the fun category. We're going to skip over, well, not that it isn't fun, biblical studies. We were working on questions, and the first question honestly showed you a language, and it said, "What language is this?" So we were trying to make it easy, because I know sometimes when you take those language classes, things might fall right out of your brain right when you finish that final paper. So we're going to jump to SFTS history.
All right. And some of this is very recent history too. We've got quite a few scholars at SFTS, and one of them has written a book called Either Jew or Gentile. And here's an image from the cover. If you're visual like me, you can picture the book. Maybe that'll bring the name coming back to you.
Ooh, this is very serious.
Yeah. And if Kahoot kicked you out, just jump back in if you want to kahoot.it with the code that we've got at the bottom corner of the screen. Ooh, so I'm angry at these zeros over here. Oh, these are the correct answers. I was worried that they were people trying and not being able to get it, but nice work. We've got 3 folks on the board with that, and things are moving along. Nice work. All right, so here's another SFTS scholar. This theologian argues that the Trinity is more than 2 guys and a bird.
Only an SFTS professor could have written that.
That's great.
I can tell you who it's not, but probably not.
Yeah.
Person also runs Beer and Theology.
Oh, that's a giveaway.
Coming back to school.
Oh, sorry for skipping that screen there, but at least we all know it's Greg Love, and maybe 50 years from now he'll be teaching gin and theology too.
Well, we also have wine and wisdom, so there's
You know, one time I was in charge of snacks for Beer and Theology, and it was St. Patrick's Day, so we did some work on some whiskey, and it was a great time.
Wow.
We have a whole new
Jameson or
revisionist
nothing?
theology after that. Yes.
So I'm going to enlist the audience here because, you know, they say you learn things by reading them, but I've only read this professor's name. So when you see this question, let me know how to pronounce his last name.
Nig.
Nig.
Ing.
Ing.
Ning.
Ing.
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 Youth ministry is not.
Yeah, what did he say that youth ministry isn't? And his story is fascinating. He grew up in San Francisco's Chinatown and ended up going to the YMCA and Cameron House, and that was his entry into the Presbyterian world. So it's amazing how many people that we've touched through the various places that we've been connected with. And he really took those youthful experiences to heart when he formed his vision of youth ministry. And people are still referring to his work today when you go and you look at folks working in youth ministry. And this is kind of a trick question because you could actually select all of them. And that's what he said. It's not fellowship, not maintenance, not entertainment. We're not sticking them in a room. It's not a social club. This is serious work that needs to be done. And it isn't separate from the community worship. It's necessarily intertwined, which I thought was so wise, because so much of my youth in church was in a separate room or as entertainment for the congregation. So I thought that was really great. Ooh, the Gruies taking
Nice.
over.
Taking the crown from Jana.
So back in 1969, we finally hired our first full-time African-American professor. And he has a lot of accomplishments, and there may be a few of them listed below. See which seem to fit him, or which you know fit him. And it was very sad because he had just started his work at SFTS in the GTU, but he died fairly quickly after he accepted the appointment at SFTS. So he didn't really get to establish, you know, too much of a legacy at SFTS, but he was already fairly accomplished before he came to us.
Now, if you want to cheat, you can look at your chimes from 2019. And there's a big story about him and his family because his son, Cornelius Berry Jr., Neil, also went to SFTS.
And not many people knew, but he worked on the board of Christian education and started the Vanguard magazine while he was working with them. So yes, he did march with Dr. King in Alabama, but he also established the magazine. And he didn't go to Berkeley, he went to Columbia for his PhD.
Yes, and he would tell you that in no uncertain terms.
Ooh, insider knowledge here.
Did anybody have him as a professor here? No. Yeah.
He came after me, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I wish I could have been back at SFTS in the 60s. I don't know if you could tell. I read about these Sufi dances and the Ted Gill era. And there was a pretty cool job you could get on campus in the 60s. What do you think they were doing? Were they palm reading in the dorms?
I mean, goodness, what weren't they doing in the 60s?
Well, and in Hunter and Landon, you couldn't palm read because the concrete wouldn't let it get out.
I'm just looking at this photo, and Buick Field does not have a lawn on it. Looks like.
Can you see the gym out there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a gym? Wow.
Well, it turned into something that relates to this question.
Ooh, well played.
It was the theater.
But when Ted Gill proposed to take down the gym, the people who were interested in sports kind of took him to task. And he said, we had a gymnasium when all the students were celibate, and you had to play hard games and take cold showers. With this presidency, if the choice is between physical culture and culture, I'll come down on the side of culture, said Ted Gill. I can't believe it. It's in the blue book, so it has to be true.
And it is.
All right.
Chris Brewery taking over.
And Renee is making a showing. See, you know stuff.
That's just luck, man.
Who knows the name of the playwright in the 60s and the Straw Hat Players at the theater there? Who knows the name of the playwright? Elizabeth Berryhill, one of the greatest liturgical playwriters I think that's ever lived. We had her for a long time, Elizabeth Berryhill.
Mm.
And Jana, when she left, did they keep some sort of playwright in residence, or was she the one and only?
She was the only one that had the job, seriously and for a sustained period of time.
Wow. We gotta nudge Redlands. Maybe we need a poet in residence. Bring Karen on board.
Can I ask a silly
I'm
question?
going to jump in here real quick just to give us the 5-minute warning. I put it in the chat, but I'm unable to extend us beyond 7 p.m. So if we poof go away real quick, I'm sorry about that. But this is being recorded, so I'm going to go back and make sure I know who wins, okay?
Thanks, Molly. I think hopefully, unless somebody else has the Zoom room, I think we should be okay, but I hope we get to stay on.
It's okay. It'll be
Julia
time for
Morgan.
Jeopardy, so the trivia people can go play Jeopardy.
All right, so we had a Julia Morgan question in there, but now we're talking money. And back in the day, this group was doing all sorts of things to raise money for the seminary. Was it the seminary singers or the seminary choir? Was it the hordes of children on campus? Was it the women's auxiliary, or was it the faculty themselves? Were the faculty hitting the streets, rustling up that dough? And $10,000 in the 1940s, if this group did the same thing today, that would be over $150,000. And this group not only raised 10,000, they quintupled it in the next decade as SFTS went on the building spree. So it wasn't just folks outside the seminary that were, bringing money in, or the Milton Stewart widow donating money for Stewart Chapel. There were a lot of groups on campus galvanizing and making things better, which always warms my heart when I read the Blue Book. And you guys all knew it. You guys are wonderful.
Never go against the women.
Especially if you want cookies, because I saw this picture of the cookie house that they did for one of the fundraisers, and I tell you. All right, Jana, you're going to like this question. Which of these singing groups crooned 50s tunes? And this photo is from your friend, Reverend Melinda McLean, who sent quite a few incriminating photos of the hijinks that you guys got up to. Or as Coot said in the Blue Book, this group full of zany merriment.
And a big hit with our song, "It's My Parish and I'll Cry If I Want to."
I had a lot of fun coming up with all the different options here.
I would love to know what the Calvin 5 is.
About the Trinities.
Tulip, of course.
Tiptoe through the tulips.
We've got some Bonhoeffer's fans out there. Wonderful. And let's see if that takes anybody up on the leaderboard. ML is coming back. I see you. Nice work. Now, some of you may remember a controversy back in the late 80s, early 90s. Someone got invited to campus, this lovely Wiccan, and caused quite a controversy. The singing group moved things up to the chapel, and when she spoke, and people found out that she spoke in the chapel, people wanted to actually exorcise the chapel, maybe wave some sage around, or I guess not wave some sage around, but it caused quite a controversy.
What year was that again?
It was in 1989, I believe.
It looked like Jana had a little bit of a good laugh there for a minute.
Wasn't that early? It wouldn't have been smudging back then, because that would be equally as heretical.
So was anyone there when Starhawk spoke? Yeah. So she's amazing. She's recently donated
our internship.
Oh, wow. Say that again?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I think it was while our class was on our internship.
Okay.
Because we didn't actually hear them.
Well, we heard about it.
But it was going on at the same time that we were there.
The layman had a field day with that one, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The interesting, though, is her connection with us is still strong through the GTU. She's actually donated her journals and notebooks to the GTU archives over in Berkeley. So if you get the urge to do some witchy research, you can dive into her journals.
I teach some of her ceremonies in my class at GT.
How cool. Wonderful.
Sounds like we need to invite her back, not
I know, right?
excommunicate her. Yeah.
Yeah. All the Gruies taking it again. All right. So our garden on campus has been much beloved by many folks, especially by this faculty member who said the boundary breaks down as we start digging in the garden with shovels together. She also felt pretty strongly about the lack of heat in Oxtaby, and Doug Olds actually worked with her on a project to bring some solar power to Oxtaby and try to heat the place up.
There's an article in the Marin Independent Journal about that.
And this is our final chance to get on the leaderboard. So if you need to do some Googling for this one, pull out your Google if you need to.
The garden kind of left alone for a while, but I'm happy to say that my husband broke in and he's taking care of it. He put in garden boxes, we're caring for it and getting ready for food to help students on campus.
You know, Ashley, I took a walk today and I did notice that. It's much improved since the last time I was there. It looks great.
Thank you. He's been working like 20 hours a week on it.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. And all the planter boxes and everything's free. He found it all on Craigslist.
Wow, wonderful. So this last one is just for fun. So what do you love about SFTS? Is it the people or is it the steeple? And then while we wait for folks to log in their answer, I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't peeked in at the library at all at our website, as alumni, you do have access to the ATLA database. So if you still need resources for sermons you're crafting or Bible studies, we still provide access to alumni for the ATLA database. So I'll put my email in the chat and I can send you more information if you're interested, or if you missed the alumni newsletter. Look at all of this. Beautiful. We're scrappy. Yes, we are.
I have one. This is Susan Gruey. I have one little story. I was reading or studying, I'm sure I was just reading, one day outside Montgomery Hall, sitting on a stone bench. And a couple of vans pulled up, and everybody was off campus. It must have been summer. And a whole lot of people, mostly men, got out of these vans. And I started getting just a little nervous. And then out of the van comes Father Guido Sarducci. For those of you who might be Saturday Night Live oldster memory people. But he got out and I walked over and I said, "Are you Father Guido Sarducci?" And he said, "Well, yes, I am." And they were up there to film a commercial or something for Saturday Night Live.
Oh my gosh.
So that was kind of funny. How many people remember Father Guido Sarducci? Oh, good. Maylin's about my age.
That's more than wonderful to hear.
Almost all of us are old enough to remember that.
Okay,
all
good.
of us, but most of us, I think.
And we need to track that down.
Yeah.
Google it.
I don't know.
Find the pokes in the pizza.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another thing like that, you know, because I teach in chaplaincy, is I often talk about how when you say the word chaplain to someone, they picture Father
from
Mulcahy. from
Yeah.
there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And some of my students have no idea what I'm talking about when I say father.
Oh my gosh.
But that is the image we have of a chaplain, isn't it? When somebody says that word, which is one of the
Yep.
problems with
That's a
chaplain.
good one.
Well, oh my gosh, this was so amazing tonight. Thank you all so much. Stephanie, do we have the final? I had to step away for a second. Do we have the final leaderboard?
Yes,
run?
it played a lovely leaderboard animation, and hopefully it displayed on your devices because it went away right as you asked. But believe me, the Gruies were sitting up there at the #1 spot with all their knowledge of Women's History Month and our rich history here at
That's because they live in
SFTS.
Portland.
I'm
I
sure
think that
Chris helped on the women's history portion,
Good,
right?
I love
So we
women.
had the Gruies in #1 spot, and who was number 2?
Number 2 was Jana, and I don't think that's really fair, but I have to.
I'm not going to send you a prize, Jana.
That's not kosher. Not kosher.
So let's do. Did we have 3 then? Down
Yes,
to number 3?
and number 3 was that Mary Louise who was ML?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Nice. How many
And
board
I-
members? We have a couple board members here, I see. So could some raise hands if you've been on the board or you were on the board ever, Mary Louise? Nice. Thank
Forever.
you.
Yay.
Yeah.
I was the student rep.
Nice.
That
Great.
counts.
Thank you so much.
Good. Well, excellent, and thank you to Bear and Ashley for really being our guides today, and of course Stephanie for creating these questions. These are amazing. We actually cut out a section because we love the conversation so much. We didn't want to spill over too much. We will be doing some more. Stephanie, if you want to put up the last slide there. On April 22nd, we have a lovely discussion that's going to be co-moderated by Talitha Aho and Douglas Olds, both of whom have done work on spirituality and the environment. So there will be some information coming out about that very soon. And then please put on your calendar November. I know it seems like a long time away, but the weekend of November 12th will be our big campus celebration. More information to come on that, but that'll be for the 150th. And we're planning some really amazing events, both on campus and online. So more to come, but thank you all so much. Thanks, Jana, for being here with us, and everybody else. It was just fabulous.
Thanks for organizing it and keeping it going. It's great.
Wonderful.
It's a group effort.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks, everybody.